Welcome to Smells Like Potential, the rewatch podcast you didn't know you needed. Rebecca is still sorting out her feelings, made much more difficult by a billionaire setting his sights on Sam. Before leaving on her midnight train to Royston, Dr. Sharon plans a quick but thoughtful exit, and Nate is done with the suit that Ted bought him.
Yeah, in this episode, I think there seems to be an ongoing theme of loyalty and integrity, both in romantic relationships and in professional relationships. That could be team allegiance, journalistic principles, and we also see powerful interactions between Keely and Roy, Trent and Ted, Sam and Rebecca, Nate and Keely, Ted and Sharon. It goes on. We also need to talk about that offer by Edwin Akufu to purchase Sam's contract, adding a generous transfer fee.
We see a lot of integrity happening in this episode, whether it's a lack of integrity or an enhanced sense of integrity. Let's talk about Trent. He wrote an article about Ted's panic attack and texted Ted before releasing it. What is this about journalistic integrity? He's not supposed to reveal his sources.
No, yeah. I think his own connection to Ted and him wanting to be straightforward with Ted, even though it violates journalistic integrity of protecting your sources. He's becoming part of the story now, which is one of the things you're not supposed to do as a journalist. But I think it's a statement on his respect for Ted.
Right, that he was hoping for a comment and knowing that he wasn't supposed to reveal his source, but asking for a comment about who the source was. It's a little strange. I also feel like Trent might be using this to transition his career.
Right. We see later that this was his exit. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was his exit strategy all along.
Done purposefully. So we'll see how that plays out moving forward.
Yeah. And we also see integrity in the photo shoot. There's an awkward interchange between Keely and Roy, and the whole photo shoot is pretty much awkward.
Oh, so awkward. Keely does amazing in the photo shoot, of course. I want to talk about the choker necklace that she was wearing. I thought it was an odd choice, particularly a couple of years ago. In fashion, we've had a 90s resurgence, and the choker necklace has shown up again. However, when this was filmed, I think Keely was feeling restrained and held back. And so therefore she picked a necklace that in a way symbolizes how she's silencing herself, silencing how she feels, or silencing her own fear. But she was definitely holding back words. And then it was this photo shoot where she no longer held back on those words.
Yeah, it just seemed like a very odd symbolic choice. Also, during this photo shoot, she chooses this moment when they're changing lenses to confess to Roy the situation that happened with Nate. And so I call this couple confessions. We had coach confessions a couple episodes ago, and now we have couple confessions. So do you want to talk about the first one she opens up with?
She chooses to share that she had a moment with Nate, and Nate tried to kiss her. And I love Roy's response was, that must have been awkward.
Right. That's a really respectful response. He doesn't doubt her. He doesn't think that she was hoping he would kiss her or that she was somehow into it. He just sort of trusts her in that moment.
Right.
It gives him enough that he feels he should confess. I helped Phoebe's teacher for 3 hours, and she asked if I was married, and I just said no, nothing else.
I was confused by that. So I am by nature a very private person, and Miss Bowen asked a yes or no question. I will give you a yes or no answer. I didn't understand why that was such a bad thing for Roy to just say no.
Well, I think the presumption is it's an invitation to a conversation for you to talk about your partner, whether it's married or not. I think in that situation, if he was in a comfortable place with Keely and Miss Bowen, he would have said, oh, yeah, in fact, she's doing a photo shoot. She's amazing. I love her. Like, that would have been a chance for him to share his devotion to his partner, and he chose not to.
Just one word and then walked away.
Yeah. So I think he feels guilty about missing an opportunity to demonstrate loyalty and integrity to Keely in that moment, to Miss Bowen. It also could leave open the door for a relationship because she's left with, oh, he's not married. Oh, and he's here with me for 3 hours.
She had a knowing look on her face.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So he's not shutting that down. And I think that's what he's guilty about.
Right. And in that moment, Keely decides to share what Jamie said at the funeral.
Yes, in the last episode, without responding at all, by the way, to the Miss Bowen comment. She's just silent. And then she, instead of demonstrating trust to Roy, she shifts to that confession about Jamie. So I think it's a really interesting exchange between the two of them. Of course, it completely kills what little chemistry they had already in that photo shoot. We look at the photos being taken. I don't think I would put that in a
I
magazine.
would not use any of those photos. They're just staring ahead with angry looks on their faces.
Yeah, that's not even a Christmas card, those pictures.
No.
That's like we're going to prison or we just lost our jobs kind of photos.
Not good. So we can see why that got really awkward at this photo shoot. We had a repeat moment where Rebecca comes into Ted's workspace and decides to lay out all of her truths to Ted. And he says, this is getting to be sort of a thing.
Yeah, you drop a truth bomb about this part of the season every year.
Right. And I think that Rebecca was using Ted as a sounding board, but she mentions that her objectivity has been lost in this moment where Sam needs to make a decision. She doesn't want him to go, but she can't promise him to stay. So is Ted her therapist in this moment?
It did talk in a previous episode about why do you need to pay a therapist when that's the job that friends should do. So this is maybe her testing that theory. And we also see Sam weighing his decision. He's trying to figure out what an opportunity, what an experience.
Right.
He could go and play for an all African team, but he also has deep loyalty to Richmond and what Ted has done and everything that the team has given him. So he's weighing that loyalty to his team versus his home. It's mentioned that Nigeria and Ghana are neighboring each other, and they're both West African countries. And this would be an opportunity for him to go home. Maybe it's one step closer to the team that he wants to play for. So that's a tough decision weighing on him.
Right. That is a personal goal of his to get to that national team. So if you're playing closer to home, it might be easier to get to that World Cup team. We see a lot of accountability in this episode as well. Unfortunately, Ted did a racism and he apologized right away, which is great. Edwin was really gracious about it in that moment. So we've got this billionaire landing a helicopter on the pitch. Who's paying for that grass?
Yeah, it seems like Nate should have been much more upset about that.
He was upset about dog poop,
Right.
but because is it no longer his job to worry about how the pitch looks?
I don't know. I feel like this is some sort of a narrative conceit. They really wanted to have a showy entrance. And so there's a couple of things that don't quite fit for this part of the episode.
Ted walks Edwin up to the office, and Rebecca is sitting there with Higgins and Keeley standing on either side of her.
Yeah, not sitting, standing like lieutenants.
Are those her wingmen, if you will? I wasn't sure what Rebecca was trying to portray. Is it strength? Because look, I have people standing next to me.
I think it's her being insecure, right? She's lost her objectivity. It's almost like conscience on either shoulder.
Left and right.
Left and right. I have to say, as a leader, I did not value what they both added. They both said things that should have been kept quiet.
Oh, they were saying the quiet parts out loud?
Yes.
Like, oh no.
It's when Keeley says, but Rebecca loves Sam. And she just closes her eyes rather than react because she didn't want that said. Then Higgins says he's making you an offer you can't refuse, which is a weird thing to say out loud.
Really put her in the corner.
Yeah. She says almost nothing in this episode. Yeah, I think Edwin takes advantage of that moment from a negotiation standpoint. And then somehow Sam appears. I don't know if he was summoned. I don't know if Francis told him to go up there.
I thought he was coming to talk to Rebecca because Rebecca has left him on red for days.
Right.
Sam had the hat trick. She barely texted him to say, have a great night.
Right.
And he's been wanting to talk to her.
Is there someone sitting at the desk outside whose job it is to stop people from coming in? Because if so, they do a terrible job. People just barge into her office all the time because there is no one in that chair. Like that person's never been replaced since Rupert left.
Rebecca has no assistant.
Yeah. I think that may be the conclusion. We also see Ted being upset at Dr. Sharon. She's leaving without saying goodbye from his perspective. He's been working with the team on choreography for a bye dance. Now he feels that that's threatened. He shared his deepest trauma with her and his fear of abandonment. And here she is abandoning him. He's a little bit over the top about this. out of line, but I think the writers are really showing how deeply he connected in that breakthrough. The fact that he had never really gone to individual therapy, clearly. Here he was connecting and trusting a therapist for the first time in his life and had a breakthrough, and now she's gone.
Yeah, for her to not say personal to his face
Yeah.
a goodbye. The letter was very emotional that she wrote. His first line about it is, "You spelled favorite wrong." What would Sharon write that would be favorite? Because speaking of integrity, as a therapist, you can't have a favorite anything.
No.
Your job is to be objective.
Right. I think she's talking about the job, the appointment to help this team, because she had so many great experiences, and it feels like she had great breakthroughs. Right. Colin gets a mantra. Danny comes through and realizes that football is life and football is also death. A number of players seem to have benefited directly from her interactions with them, and of course Ted as well. So I think from her perspective, she also had a breakthrough about her own vulnerability. So I could see her saying this was a favorite appointment or job or
team so
Yeah.
far. We talked a little bit before we started recording why Ted got so emotional with this letter. It was
Right.
beyond that fear of abandonment. I speculated that there was something about Henry in that letter.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It probably points to season 3 and something that Ted's not ready to hear quite yet.
Right. She was able to write it because they didn't have enough sessions for her to help lead him to that realization. She
Yeah.
had to tell him.
Do you think it was an emergency, or do you think she made that up because she doesn't do goodbyes well?
I don't know that there was an emergency because she didn't leave right away. If it was truly an emergency, you would find a way to get there. You wouldn't wait for the midnight train to Royston.
Right. And she had plenty of time to write a lot of letters.
A lot of letters. Higgins was rifling through so many letters.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Then we had a couple of characters talking about wanting to be the boss, wanting to take charge of their careers, making decisions and getting the credit for it. So Keely got the Vanity Fair powerful woman on the rise, and that made her very excited, very scared, because people are going to see me. But she has this exchange with Nate about wanting to do something with her career, and she was inspired by Rebecca to be a boss.
Yeah.
They are friends, but also they've got a mentor relationship going, and she was able to share that with Nate.
Yeah. He asks the other coaches, have you ever wanted to be the boss? It seems to me that we're seeing this arc continue. And I now wonder if there's a direct influence from Rupert. We saw the whispering at the end of the funeral episode. I think that they're either talking or texting back and forth, because this very much seems like Rupert's influence. He actually calls out and says, well, here we go again. I give Ted a great idea and he's going to take all the credit for it, which there's no evidence for that. It's almost quite the opposite. Nate got all the credit for when Ted had to leave the field, and Nate came up with a brilliant maneuver. He got all the praise. He got all the attention. Ted didn't diminish any of that. So I don't quite understand where he's coming from. Roy and Coach Beard both look at each other like, what is he going on about?
What are you talking about? Right.
It's not how
That's the
we
job.
operate. Oh, yeah. And Roy says that's the job. That's Roy just being kind to Nate because it is the job, but it also isn't true in terms of the way that Ted operates or has operated. We also see the debut of Nate's black suit. So just a very brief Star Wars reference. During Anakin's fall to the dark side, he becomes Darth Vader. We watch his clothes go from light tan, like Obi-Wan, all the way to dark black leather. By the time that we see Revenge of the Sith, where he becomes Darth Vader, it's dark black. It's all dark black. So that's interesting that he's in that outfit. The other thing is that it is a direct reference to Roy, because that's what Roy wore in the episode where he showed up to be a coach for the first time.
He was wearing an all black suit.
Yep. Did we have anything for book club this time?
We do. Beard was reading Entangled Life, How Fungi Make Our Worlds, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Futures by Merlin Sheldrake. I think he's probably reading about fungi because he's engaging in tea.
Not because he's a fun guy.
Right, that he gets invited to all the parties.
Yes. His confession the other day was that he had accidentally been on shrooms during a game. So yes, clearly he partakes of the mushrooms. We did have some movies, TV, and music in this episode. Quite a bit.
So much.
In fact, we're gonna have to whip through these pretty fast, but we'll spend a little bit of time in the first two.
We've got NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye.
yes. And when Ted has to leave with Edwin Akufu, he says, "Can you take over practice?" And Beard says, "It's got to be me."
Second song off that same album, No Strings Attached.
And Higgins has, we discover, an encyclopedic knowledge of birthdays. In fact, he gives him three celebrities that share the same birthday. Okay, now it's time for the lightning round. Here we go. Is there a Godfather reference?
Making You Offer You Can't Refuse.
And then we see a Bo Jackson, Bo Diddley reference.
It's a fun series of Nike ads in the late 80s. I remember them all.
Roy makes reference to Mad Max somehow.
His coach would follow him on a motorbike.
But it made him fast.
Then Ted says, Sam and Rebecca were one of my all-time favorite TV couples. What show was that?
That was Cheers, of course. It was after Diane left, we got Rebecca. We got to meet Banksy. I mean, not really. At the time of the airing of this episode, Banksy's identity had not yet been revealed. It's conjecture, but it's generally regarded as truth that his identity has been revealed. But here, obviously, it's an actor. And this is where we see Edwin stealing Ted's line. Congratulations, you both met a cool person.
I love it. And then there was a Good Will Hunting nod from Dr. Sharon.
Yep. It's a improv line that Robin Williams says at the very end of the movie that he stole my move, meaning he said, I got to go see about a girl. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow for our reaction to Season 2, Episode 12, Inverting the Pyramid of Success. And our outro quote, you just listen to your gut, okay? And on your way down to your gut, check in with your heart. Between these two things, they'll let you know what's what.